Hello friends, this is Fox Nival Studios. What if today we are here with new chapter What if Naruto have Dainosar Bloodline? Before starting story, please subscribe our channel. Now let's start the chapter 1 Konohagakure no Sato, October 10th. It was October 10th and in Konohagakure no Sato or Konoha for short, the annual celebration of the defeat of the Kyuubi no Kitsune or nine-tailed demon fox, 5 years ago was in full swing. However, one person in particular was not celebrating, no, quite the opposite. In fact, his was running for his life. This person was none other than 5-year-old Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, son of the Yondaime Hokage Minato Namikaze and his wife Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze, and the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. Not that he knew any of that. Now you are probably wondering, how does he contain the Kyuubi when it was killed 5 years ago? Well, the Kyuubi is what is known as a biju, which are near infinite amounts of chakra and yuki given form, which makes it impossible to kill them, so they can only be sealed. However, due to the Kyuubi being the strongest of the biju, it can only be sealed in a newborn baby, and Naruto was the only baby born on October 10th when the Kyuubi attacked, so the Yondaime Hokage Minato Namikaze was forced to seal the Kyuubi into Naruto, which resulted in the death of not only himself but also Kushina, leaving Naruto an orphan. The Sandaime Hokage Hiruzen Sarutobi was forced to retake the position of Hokage and tried to keep Naruto safe by keeping his status as the container of the Kyuubi a secret, but the civilian council found out and spread the word. In response, Hiruzen created a law that prevented the adults from telling the younger generation, so Naruto could at least have a chance at making friends. However, that didn't stop some of the more violent people from sometimes hunting the boy down to try and kill the demon, which leads us to where we are now. Naruto was running from another mob of people trying to kill him when he ran into a dead end. "This way he went in here," yelled one of the people of the mob chasing Naruto. "Shit, they are getting closer and I'm trapped," thought Naruto frantically when he suddenly hears a voice. "Hold on, Kit." Suddenly everything goes black. Mindscape drip, drip, drip. "Aw, what the hell?" Naruto opens his eyes to see himself in what looks like a sewer. "Great, the villagers must have caught me and threw me in the sewer again. Well, might as well get up and get out of here." Naruto begins to get up when he hears a voice from behind him. "Come this way, Kit, it's time for us to meet." Naruto turns around to see a large gate with a piece of paper on it that reads seal and walks towards it when he notices a huge fox with 9 tails behind it. "Kyuubi!" He screams and falls back. "Yes, Kit, I am the Kyuubi no Kitsune and we are in your mindscape now. You're probably wondering why you are here and how I am here." At this, Naruto just nods. "Well, Kit, the story begins back when the first Hokage Hashirama Senju fought Madara Uchiha at the Valley of the End. Madara somehow managed to summon me from my den and then used that damned hack's eyes of his, the Sharingan, to control me to fight for him. However, Hashirama's wife Mito Uzumaki was able to use her mastery of seals to seal me within herself. After the battle was over and both Madara and Hashirama were dead, Mito returned to the village and lived her life, and over time me and her would sometimes talk to each other in her mindscape. However, time passed and Mito grew older to the point where she was nearing end, and we began to talk about what would happen when she died. We had discovered that when she dies I would be free again, and upon realizing this we decided that if I was free somebody might control me again someday and cause more destruction, so we decided that I would be transferred into someone else before Mito died. This led to Mito choosing a young girl named Kushina Uzumaki to become my next container. She was your mother, Kit." At this, Naruto's eyes widened and small tears formed at the corners of them. "Yes, your mother was my container before you, Kit. Over time she would come into her mindscape and we would talk about various things like her life, the status of the world outside the seal, and other things. And we grew close to the point where we saw each other as sisters." Naruto begins to open his mouth to ask a question, but Kyuubi cuts him off. "Yes, Kit, I am a girl. One day she told me about how she fell in love with a young man by the name of Minato Namikaze and how they got married. She even brought him into her mindscape sometimes to talk to me. At first I didn't like him, but after talking with him grew to like him and see him as a little brother. One day they both came in and told me that Kushina was pregnant." At this, Naruto suddenly interrupts. "But wait, if Kushina was my mother then that would mean that Minato Namikaze is my father, but he was the Yondaime Hokage." "Yes, Kit, Minato Namikaze is your father. Now please don't interrupt again. Now after telling me that Kushina was pregnant we started celebrating. When we were done I told you parents that I would like to give you a gift. Of course they asked why I would do this and I simply said that they were the closest thing I have ever had to a family, and any child of theirs I would also consider family. They asked what the gift was and I told them of a bloodline that I had created using the remains of creatures that I came across when I was young. Needless to say they were shocked and honored and accepted, so I began to implant the bloodline into your DNA. However, the night you were born, tragedy struck. At this the Kyuubi lowers her head for a moment, so Naruto asks, what happened? After a moment the Kyuubi continues her story. It's a known fact that when a female Jinchuriki is giving birth, the seal containing the biju sealed within her weakens, so extra precautions are taken due to this. When your mother went into labor, it was kept secret except for the few people who would to be on hand to help deliver you, which included your father and few others. However, somehow the secret was let out and a man came right after you were born and held you hostage before kidnapping your mother and extracting me from her. He then placed me under a genjutsu just like Madara did and forced me to attack Konoha. Your father was able to lead me away from Konoha to where your mother and you were in hopes of sealing me back into your mother. But due to just giving birth and having me ripped from her, she was too weak, so he had to seal me into you. Your mother used a special ability of hers to create chakra chains to hold me down while your father prepared everything. But as he was sealing me into you, I broke free for a second and in my state I lashed out toward you and your parents got in the way and were fatally wounded by one of my claws. It was then that I finally broke free from the genjutsu and noticed what I had down. A tear trails down Kyuubi's cheek and Naruto walks up and hugs her as best he can despite her size. It's alright Kyu-chan, I don't blame you for your actions, he says with a small smile on his face. Thank you Kit. Now after realizing what I had done I began to panic, but your parents said it was alright and that it wasn't my fault. Your father then completed the seal and I was sealed in you. However, I was able to hear what was happening outside due to the seal being just finished and heard the Sandaime Hokage talk to your father just before he passed. His dying wish was that you've been seen as a hero. For the next 5 years I waited for the day when we would be able to meet and I would be able to activate your bloodline if you wanted me to. Naruto was speechless after hearing all this. Leering, he had parents who not only loved him but gave their lives to save him. That his father was the Yondaime Hokage, that he had the Kyuubi sealed in him, and that he had a bloodline waiting to be activated, but realized that he would follow in his parents' footsteps and protect the village just like they had. With determination in his eyes he then spoke, Kyuubi, please activate my bloodline. My parents gave their lives to not only protect me but also the village, so I will follow in their footsteps. I will use this gift from you to protect those who are precious to me like my parents did before me, and that includes you. Kyuubi was stunned by Naruto's words and simply thought, Kushina. Minato, you would be so proud of your son. So young and already so strong. After a moment Kyuubi smiles before saying, Kit, your parents would be so proud of you already just as I am. Get ready, I'm going to activate your bloodline, but it's going to hurt. Oh, and Kit, call me Akane, it's my true name. Okay Akane-chan, let's do this. Alright Kit, here goes, brace yourself. Akane says before activating his bloodline, and Naruto feels like fire is flowing through his soul before leaving the mindscape. Outside mindscape, Naruto exits his mindscape to find himself lying on the ground in the alley with the mob of villagers approaching before getting up and letting out a scream that begins to sound like a roar. His face gets longer, his teeth lengthen and turn to fangs. His spine gets longer and forms a tail, his fingers and toes turn into claws. His skin becomes hard, dry, bumpy, and leathery, and finally he grows in size. His head and body get taller and larger till he was easily reaching 20 feet tall and at least 40 feet long from nose to tail, his orange jumpsuit just hanging from his arms. As this was happening, the mob of villagers just stood there watching the demon brat become this thing, before one of them finally snaps out of it and yells, "The demon is finally showing its true colors, kill it," which snaps the others out of their shock and they begin to charge at Naruto. Naruto turns and looks at the mob, says, "Oh no," but it comes out as Ruahamu. The mob charges at him, try to injure him with knives, sword, kunai, and other various sharp objects which just bounce off his skin. A shinobi in the mob coats his kunai in wind chakra before stabbing Naruto with it and ends up piercing about 3 inches into his skin, causing him to bleed slightly. Naruto lets out a roar before turning to the shinobi. He lets out a mighty roar, ROOOAAR, before leaning down and lunging forward, snatching the man by the waist in his mouth. The man screams before Naruto chomps down, biting the man in half with a loud crunch. The mon's legs and upper torso fall to the ground with a wet plop, and the rest of the mob screams before trying to run. Naruto hears the scream and turns toward the rest of the mob, blood dripping from his mouth and teeth, before lunging at the mob and begins to tear them apart, squishing some underfoot. slamming others into the alley's walls with his massive tail, ripping others apart with his jaws, all the while names and pictures passing through his mind: Tyrannosaurus rex, Velociraptor, Stegosaurus, Triceratops, Apatosaurus, Dilophosaurus, Pterodactyl, Procompsognathus, and finally Diabolus rex. As this was happening, two Anbu, one with an Inu mask, the other with a Habi mask, watch in horror and amazement. The Anbu with the Inu mask summons a dog and sends it to get the Hokage. Naruto finishes killing the last person in the mob when he hears someone appear and looks to see the Hokage standing before him with the Inu and Habi masked Anbu. The Hokage looks at the scene before him, blood and body parts everywhere, and a huge creature standing there looking at him, blood dripping from its mouth and fangs, and an orange jumpsuit just barely hanging onto its little arms, and recognizes it as Naruto's. "Naruto, is that you?" the Sandaime asks. The creature before him begins to shrink and change, revealing Naruto barely clothed. "GG Habi-chan, is that you?" Naruto asks before falling to his knees. Habi rushes over and catches him before he hits the ground. Natuo looks at Habi before placing his hand on the side of her masks and gives Beth, smiling and giving her forehead a kiss. "Thanks Habi-chan, what would I do without you?" Habi chuckles. "You're welcome kiddo, but how about you treat me to some dango to pay me back?" Naruto smiles. "Sure thing Habi-chan, all you can eat." Naruto looks at the Sandaime before saying, "I know who my parents are. About my tenant, and unlocked my bloodline, but we're going to need to go to your office to talk about it more. Habi-chan and Inu-san must be there with us." The Sandaime is shocked but recomposes himself before saying, "Okay Naruto. Habi, Inu, come with along." He then snaps his fingers and a Anbu with a weasel mask appears. "Yes Hokage-sama." The Sandaime looks at Weasel before saying, "I need you to clean the alley up, make sure there is nothing left of body's blood, and do not tell anyone what you have seen here tonight. Is that understood?" The Anbu salutes before saying, "Of course Hokage-sama, and tell Naruto I'm sorry I wasn't there for him tonight." The Sandaime nods his head, "Of course Itachi," and then leaves with Naruto. Habi and Inu, when they reach the Hokage's office, Habi sets Naruto on couch before sitting next to him. Inu leans up against the wall, and the Sandaime sits behind his desk before dismissing the hidden Anbu in the room and acting a privacy seal. "Okay Naruto, can you tell me what happened tonight?" Naruto holds Habi's hand, looks at the Sandaime and nods. "Okay GG, but can Habi and Inu remove their masks? I already know who they are." The Sandaime nods and Inu removes his mask, revealing a man in his mid-20s with a cloth mask covering the lower half of his face. His leaf headband over his left eye and silver gravity-defying hair. This is Kakashi Hatake. Habi then removes her mask, revealing a beautiful young woman between 16 to 18 years old with pupilless chocolate brown eyes and beautiful violet hair pulled into a pineapple-shaped ponytail. This is Anko Mitarashi. Naruto smiles at Anko before giving her cheek a kiss, causing her to blush slightly before he turns to the Sandaime and continues his story. "It started when," and then proceeds to tell him everything that happened from being chased into that alley by the mob. Meeting the Kyuubi, her telling him her story and about his parents, the relationship between them and herself. Along with how she gave him his bloodline, how he left his mindscape and turned into the creature which he is calling a dinosaur. How he defended himself from the mob before Habi, Inu, Hiruzen himself showed up. When he is done, everyone is speechless with their was on the ground before Anko snaps out of it and yells, "Hell yeah, the strongest being alive is a female. Take that sexists." This proceeds to snap Kakashi and Hiruzen out of their shocked state, and the Sandaime finally says, "I'm getting too old for this shit. Okay, I'm classifying everything said here as a S-rank secret. Now Naruto, what do you want to do?" Naruto thinks for a second before saying, "Well GG, I want to make my parents proud and protect the village and my precious people like you, Ayame-chan. Tuichi Oji-san, and Anko-chan, so I want to be a shinobi." Hiruzen smiles and thinks, "Minato. Kushina, you would be so proud of your son. Okay Naruto, so you want to join the academy?" Naruto shakes his head. "Actually GG, I was hoping Anko-chan would teach me, since the academy teachers would try to sabotage my learning. And it would allow me to train with my bloodline and learn what I can with it. Plus Akane-chan said she wants to train me in some of her Kitsune and Akuma styles." The Hokage and Kakashi look amazed by how much thought he has put into this in such a short amount of time, while Anko has a slight blush due to Naruto wanting her to be his teacher. After a few minutes of thinking, the Sandaime finally speaks. "Okay Naruto, you have a good point. Anko can train you, but you will have to graduate with your age group." Naruto smiles brightly and nods his head. Thanks GG, just you wait, by the time my age group graduates I will be really strong, that way I can protect my precious people. The Sandaime smiles and looks to Anko. Anko, starting first thing in the morning you are to begin training Naruto. You have my permission to use training ground 44. Actually I would recommend you use it and both of you live in the tower at the center of it, that way we can keep not only his bloodline a secret for as long as possible but also the fact that he is training so early. Anko nods. Of course old man, I was planning on doing that anyway. Come on Naruto, let's go get some rest before your torture training. Yeah, training starts tomorrow. She then grabs Naruto and D both leave in a shushin. Kakashi nods to the Sandaime and leaves himself. Hiruzen leans back in his chair. So what do you think of all this, Jiraiya? The wall next to the window shimmers before revealing a tall man with white spike hair, wearing wooden clogs, a red kabuki-style outfit with a large scroll tied to the back of his waist, and a headband that reads, "Oil," on it.
Jiraiya thinks for a minute. Well sensei, if he is anything like Minato and Kushina then he is going to be a powerhouse in the near future.
Then there is the Kyuubi and her story, I believe it. Minato once told me about when he went with Kushina into her mindscape and met her and befriended her, which made the whole her attacking Konoha for no reason so fishy in the first place, seeing how she loved Kushina and Minato like siblings. Then there is that bloodline of his, it's amazing. So if you add all this up he could very easily be the strongest person to walk the elemental nation since the Sage of Six Paths, which adds more evidence to him being the child of prophecy that the Elder Toad spoke of. The Sandaime nods his head. That's what I thought too, Jiraiya. Jiraiya smiles and hands the Sandaime a scroll. Well, here is the latest info from my sources, sensei. Now if you'll excuse me, I have some research to do. He then giggles perversely and leaves through the window. The Sandaime wipes a little blood from his nose, chuckles before getting up and looking out the window and thinks, Naruto, you are already so strong for dealing with how the idiots of this village treat you, and you will only continue to grow stronger from now on, and I'm sure your parents are already proud of you. I know I am. The next morning Naruto wakes up to feel something snuggling his left side and looks over to see Anko using him like a body pillow. A small smile comes to his face as he thinks, she really is just like Attila kid at times like this. He wiggles out of Anko's grip before placing a pillow in his place so she won't wake up before walking out of the bedroom and towards the kitchen to make breakfast. Anko wakes to the smell of something delicious and gets up, noticing Naruto isn't in bed anymore. As she walks to kitchen to see Naruto cooking breakfast, she yawns before asking Naruto, "Good morning Naruto, what's for breakfast?" and sits down at the table. A small sly smile comes to Naruto's face before answering, "Well Anko-chan, we have an egg omelette with cheese, onions, sausage, toast, slices of bacon, and last but not least we have..." Anko's eyes widen with each thing he lists off before getting impatient that he is stalling. "Okay, what's the last thing we're having?" Another sly smile comes to Naruto's face. "Well, the last thing is some of my special Naruto dango." As soon he finishes, Anko jumps from her chair and glomps him. "Oh Naru-kun, you spoil me." He smiles. "Of course I do Anko-chan, but you're worth it. Now let's eat before starting my training." Anko nods and they eat breakfast. After finishing breakfast, both of them showering and getting dressed, they leave the tower to start training. Anko turns to Naruto. "Okay Naruto, let's start by unlocking you chakra." Naruto nods and forms the ram seal and concentrating. After a minute or so a massive burst of chakra erupts around him, nearly knocking Anko off her feet before dying down. Anko stands there with her jaw on the ground thinking, holy shit, that was more chakra than my entire reserves, and he is only 5 years old. After recovering from her shocked state, Anko looks at Naruto and smiles. "Well Naruto-kun, you certainly full of surprises, cause you just released more chakra than I have in my entire reserves. Now that you have unlocked your chakra, the torture training, yeah, training can finally begin." She then smiles sadistically. "Get ready Naruto, cause the fun is about to start." Naruto merely gulps before thinking, well, I did ask for this, so who am I to complain? He nods before saying, "I'm ready Anko-sensei, let's start." And so began Naruto's 8 years of torture training. 1 month later, Naruto had been training with Anko for a month, learning various things including taijutsu, ninjutsu, kenjutsu, shurikenjutsu, tactics, stealth, and traps. Akane-chan had been teaching him her kitsune and akuma styles in his mindscape at night, along with how to use his bloodline, which he had named Saurian Soul. And one night while doing some late-night training in his bloodline, he noticed something that set for a series of events that would change the lives of more people than he knew. Naruto was training in the newest form of his bloodline that he had unlocked. It was medium-sized at about 6 to 8 feet tall and about 12 feet long. Its body was lean while at the same time muscular. His teeth were medium-sized backwards facing like snake fangs and razor-sharp. His arms were medium length and had 3 claws for fingers. But the most intimidating feature of the form was the 2 6-inch long claws on his feet, one on each foot. From what he remembered when the images and names passed through his mind a month earlier, this dinosaur was called a velociraptor, liked to hunt in packs and was incredibly smart. Naruto was running through the forest of death in his velociraptor form, getting used to its speed, evasiveness, and enhanced senses, hunting a boar so that he could make Anko something special for dinner due to it being the 1-month anniversary of when they started training. When he smelled something strange coming from the direction of the Hyuga compound. It smelled of fear, and considering it was heading away from the compound, he figured something was wrong and headed out to see what was happening. 5 minutes earlier, a tall man dressed in all black with Kumogakure headband was running from the Hyuga compound with a large sack over his shoulder. In said sack was 5-year-old Hinata Hyuga, firstborn daughter of clan head Hiyashi Hyuga. She had been sleeping when a man came into her room and kidnapped her and was now taking her who knows where to do who knows what to her, and she was terrified, praying that anyone would come save her. The man smirked, thinking how easy it had been to kidnap the young Hyuga heiress so that Kumo would finally get the Byakugan bloodline. He had been given a mission by the village's council to pose as the ambassador of the village and go to Konoha to talk about establishing a peace treaty as cover to sneak and kidnap the young Hyuga heiress. He had already kidnapped the young girl and was on his way to Kumo when he noticed something up ahead. It looked like some kind of large bipedal lizard-like thing that had 3 claws on each hand, and on each foot was a long menacing-looking claw in addition to the others. It just stood there looking at him. Naruto had made it back to village fairly quickly and noticed a tall man in black with a large sack over his shoulder that was the source of the fear he smelled earlier. And instantly realized that someone was being kidnapped by this man, so he quickly thought of a plan and put it into action. He created 2 shadow clones, glad that Anko had taught him the jutsu, and due to him using it so much had mastered it, making him able to do it without having to use hand seals. He mentally commanded the 2 velociraptor clones of himself to take up a pincer formation around the man. After they left, he stood out in the open and looked at the man. The man looked at the creature before him for a minute before deciding enough was enough. "I don't know what you are, but you best get out of here before I kill." The creature just tilted its head to the side. The man set the sack down and took out a kunai. "Fine, have it your way, don't say I didn't warn you," and charged at the creature. As he made it to the halfway point between them, he thought, "Stupid creature doesn't stand a chance. Should have just left. Better finish this quick before anyone shows up." All these thoughts were running through his head as he got closer and closer. He never noticed the 2 shadows come out on either side of him. He never noticed them get closer to him. He never noticed one jump into the air with its feet forward. He never noticed the other slash his abdomen. He never noticed the one in the air descend upon him and tear into his flesh. He never noticed the look in the eyes of the one in front of him that said, "Gotcha." He never noticed any of these things, until it was too late. He felt his abdomen get sliced open. He felt the large claws of the one in the air slice into his back and pin him to the ground. He felt the teeth of the one his back grip the back of his neck. He felt fear as the pressure increased. He felt his neck start to twist as the creature turned its head sharply. Then he felt no more as his neck snapped, severing his spine from his brain, killing him. Naruto looked at the man before him, dead from his clones snapping his neck before dismissing his clones, tilting his head towards the sky and letting out a roar, that coughing like one that velociraptors do in the movies, before changing back to his normal form and walking over to the sack and opening it. Hinata was terrified. The man had set her down. And then she heard him saying something, and then everything was quiet. She heard footsteps walking toward her before opening the bag. She expected to see the scary man that had put her in the bag, not a boy that had sun-blonde hair, the most beautiful blue eyes she had ever seen, 3 whisker-like marks on each cheek, smiling at her as he helped her out of the bag. Naruto helped the girl out of the bag. As he took in her appearance, she had midnight blue hair cut into a Heim style. Her eyes were a beautiful white with hints of lavender and had no pupils. She had on lavender pajamas. He smiled at her. "Are you all right?" She nods. "Good, now let's get you home. I'm sure that everyone is worried about you." He grabs her hand, not noticing the blush on her face. "My name is Naruto Uzumaki, by the way. What's yours?" She blushes a little more before answering, "Hinata Hyuga." He smiles. "Nice to meet you, Hinata-chan." They walk for a little while before they see a man that looks like an older version of Hinata, but male obviously. The man notices them and runs towards them. "Hinata, there you are, what happened and who is this?" Hinata proceeds to tell the man what happened while Naruto just stands there waiting till she is done. After Hinata finishes telling the man what happened, he turns towards Naruto. "Is what she true, young man?" Naruto nods. "Yes sir, I was out walking and enjoying the night when I noticed a man in all black running with a sack over his shoulder that was moving like someone inside and went after him. I then confronted said man and let Hinata-chan out of the bag before walking her back home, in which you saw us." The man in front of him looks skeptical, so he continues, "If you are having a hard time believing me, you can have someone go check the way we came from. They will find the man on the ground in the middle of the street. Meanwhile you and I can go with you to see the Hokage, where things will be explained further." The man thinks for a second before nodding. Naruto notices two more men appear next to him. One looks just like the man in front of him. The man turns toward the man that looks like him. "Hizashi, go check up the road to see if there is a man lying in the center of the street, and if so bring him to Inoichi at the INT." Hizashi nods and leaves. He then turns toward the other man. "Ko, take Hinata home and inform Hitomi what happened." The other man nods before leaving with Hinata. The man then turns toward Naruto. "Come along Naruto, let's go talk to the Hokage." Naruto's eyes widen. "You know who I am?" The man chuckles. "Of course, I doubt there is anyone in the village that doesn't know who you are. And I must say that prank you played on the civilian council was very funny." Naruto smiles and rubs the back of his head. "Thanks, they had it coming." The man smiles. "That they did, Naruto, that they did." Naruto and the man reach the Hokage's office and enter. To see the Sandaime doing paperwork before looking up. Hiyashi. "Naruto, what can I do for you?" The now named Hiyashi bows before speaking. "Hokage-sama, earlier tonight my daughter Hinata was taken from her room by someone, and after searching I discovered young Naruto here walking her back home, at which time I questioned him and he told me how he was out for a walk when he noticed a man in black carrying a bag that was moving and proceeded to confront the man and rescued Hinata." At this the Hokage's eyes widen and Naruto rubs the back of his head sheepishly. Hiyashi then continues, "Now after hearing young Naruto's story I was a little skeptical and said that we should talk to you about it. And after having Ko escort Hinata home, and my brother Hizashi go see if there was in fact a body down the road, we came here." The Hokage then turns to Naruto. "Naruto, is what Hiyashi said true?" Naruto nods his head. "Yeah GG, I was out training in that, when I noticed the man and confronted him like Hiyashi-san said. Before letting Hinata-chan out of the bag and walking her home, when Hiyashi-san saw us." Hiyashi raises an eyebrow at the mention of that, wondering what it meant but decided to wait to ask. The doors to the Hokage's office then open to reveal Hizashi, who walks in and bows to the Hokage and Hiyashi before smiling at Naruto. "I have just finished my task, Hiyashi." And like young Naruto said, there was in fact a man's body down the road along with a sack that had residual amounts of Hinata's chakra in it. Upon bringing the body, which I might add was in my own opinion very effectively killed. To Inoichi-san, he used his clan's mind walk jutsu to enter the man's mind and found out that he was a shinobi from Kumo that had orders from their council to pose as an ambassador to discuss a peace treaty in order to kidnap a main branch Hyuga to be brought back so that they could have the Byakugan. All of this however went on with behind the back of the Yondaime Reikage. He finished. The Hokage then nods his head. "Thank you Hizashi, you may return home." Hizashi then bows before leaving. The Hokage turns toward Naruto and smiles. "Well done Naruto, you saved somebody from a fate worse than death tonight. I am very proud of you." Naruto smiles. "No problem GG, I'm just glad Hinata-chan is safe, she seems like a nice person." He finishes while the Hokage and Hiyashi smile. Hiyashi then asks the Hokage, "Hokage-sama, if I may, what is this that Naruto referred to earlier?" The Hokage looks to Naruto, who nods. He then dismisses the Anbu in the room before setting up a privacy seal. "Hiyashi, what we are about to tell you is a S-rank secret not to be told to anyone." Hiyashi nods. The Hokage and Naruto then proceed to tell Hiyashi about everything, including Naruto's heritage, his bloodline, how the Kyuubi really is, the night of his birth, his secret training with Anko. Nothing is left out, and by the end of it Hiyashi's jaw is on the floor. He then turns toward Naruto. "Wait, you're Minato and Kushina's son?" Naruto nods. "Naruto, your father was not only my best friend, but your mother was best friends with my wife Hitomi. When the four of us found out that both your mother and my wife were pregnant, and that you were going to be a boy while me and my wife were having a girl, the four of us decided to form a marriage contract between you and Hinata." At this Naruto's eyes widen. "That's right Naruto, you and Hinata are engaged to each other." Naruto thinks for a moment. Hiyashi-san, while I'm honored to be engaged to Hinata, I will not marry someone unless it is out of love, and both of us love each other, and therefore will not marry Hinata unless such a thing happens." At this Hiyazi's eyes widen. "However, that does not mean that I will not give Hinata a chance. From the short amount of time that I have known her, I can already tell she is a great person, and anyone she falls in love with will be the luckiest man in all of the elemental nations. What I propose is that we keep my engagement to her a secret, that way her and I get to know each other, and if we end up loving each other we will know the love between us is real and not due to the contract, and then the contract is fulfilled, and if we don't then she will never know and go on with her life. Her happiness is more important than some contract." He finishes with a smile. Hiyashi and the Hokage are stunned before both smile, thinking the same thing. "Minato Kushina, your son is already such a great person." Hiyashi then speaks, "Naruto, I see so much of your parents in you. You have your father's intellect and compassion, and your mother's kind heart. Very well, we will keep the engagement a secret from Hinata so that if you both fall in love it will be genuine." He then turns toward the Hokage and bows. "I will take my leave, Hokage-sama." Before leaving, Hiruzen looks toward Naruto. "Naruto, you truly are one of a kind." Naruto smiles and rubs the back of his head. "Well, GG, of course I am. I am me after all." The Hokage chuckles. "That you are, Naruto. That you are. Now I think it's time you go and see Anko, I'm sure she is worried about you." Naruto pales, thinking that, well, GG, gotta go see ya. He then leaves so fast you would swear he was using the Hiruzen as you saw him. Naruto returns to the tower and sneaks in, hoping Anko is asleep, when suddenly the lights turn on to show Anko standing there with her arms crossed, tapping her foot. "Well, look who decided to show up. Where have you been? I have been missing my favorite pillow." Naruto chuckles and begins to explain what happened, and when he is done Anko just shakes her head. "Not even 6 years old and already getting into situations like this. What am I going to do with you? And what's this I hear about you being engaged to little Hinata?" He chuckles nervously. "Well, he was set up by our parents and might not even happen if we don't love each other." He then walks over to Anko and hugs her. "Besides, Eve, if we do fall in love and get married, you won't get rid of me that easily because I love you, and you will be there right there beside her if I marry Hinata." Anko's eyes widen and blushes before smiling, not one of the smiles she shows most people but a true smile that only Naruto has seen. "You got that right, Gaki, but that's not for a while. After all, what would people think of me marrying a Gaki like you?" Naruto chuckles. "They would think that I am the luckiest guy in the world for having a woman as incredible and beautiful as you as my wife." He then stands on his tiptoes and kisses her cheek. "Now let's go to bed, we have a lot of training to do and only 7 years and 11 months to do it." She smiles. "You got that right, Gaki." They then go into the bedroom and go to sleep with Anko cuddling Naruto like he is a body pillow. 7 years 11 months later, a 5 feet 8 inches tall 13-year-old with sun-blonde hair, blue eyes and 3 whisker-like marks on each cheek stands on the roof of a building next to the Ninja Academy. He is wearing black steel-toe combat boots, dark red cargo pants, a fishnet shirt that shows of his six-pack abs and chest, a long red trench coat with red flames on the bottom that goes down to his ankles. On the back of the trench coat near the top are the words, "Saurian Soul," in gold lettering. And underneath it there is some kind of creature's skull, Jurassic Park logo asterisk. On his right arm there is a tattoo of a crimson nine-tailed fox. On his chest above his right pec there is a tattoo of a purple snake coiled around a heart. On his left pec there is a tattoo of the moon with lavender hints in it above a heart, and he is wearing black sunglasses. He looks at the building before looking at the note in his hands and smiling. "Well, better not keep them waiting. Should I just enter the building normally or with style? Style it is." He then smirks before running and leaping into the air and rolling into a ball. Naruto Uzumaki was about to make himself known, and things would never be the same for those around him. "Those poor bastards. Hee, not really." Evil smile. Iruka Amino was many things: a man in his mid-late 20s, a shinobi of Konoha, a teacher of the next generation of Konoha's shinobi, and finally an orphan from the Kyuubi attack 13 years ago. However, as he walked into his classroom with his assistant teach Mizuki, he couldn't help but feel like something was going to happen today that would not only be hilarious but also make a fool of him, but he pushed it aside for the moment and looked upon his class. First there was Sasuke Uchiha. He had brown hair that looked like a duck's ass, onyx eyes, and had a look on his face that would make you think somebody stuck a 10 feet pole up his ass and killed his puppy. He wore a dark blue shirt with the Uchiha fan on the back, white shorts and black sandals. He sat at his seat with an air that said, "I'm the best thing since sliced bread." bow before me, delsutional much? Next there was Choji Akamichi Tub, big-boned, boy munching on a bag of chips. He had on a gray shirt, tan shorts, and a pair of sandals. Next to him sat his best friend Shikamaru Nara. Shikamaru Nara is one of the smartest people in the village like the rest of his clan, but he was also one of the laziest, also like the rest of his clan, the males anyway. The females however were energetic and would often be seen whacking their husbands, boyfriends, or brothers over the head with frying pans they seemed to pull out of thin hair. He had brown hair pulled into a pineapple ponytail. He wore a brown shirt and black pants with gray sandals. He had his head down on his desk and was currently sleeping. Next was Shino Aburame. He has black hair and wore a long closed trench coat that covered his entire body up to his nose and wore black sunglasses that hid his eyes. Next to him sat Kiba Inuzuka. Kiba Inuzuka is a loud, brash, perverted boy who wore a gray jacket with the hood over his head, brown shorts, and sandals. Like the rest of his clan he had two fang tattoos on his cheeks, and his nin dog companion Akamaru, a little puppy with white fur, sat on his head. Next was Ino Yamanaka. He has long blonde hair pulled into a ponytail, and wore a purple top and shorts. She, like the majority of the females in the class, was a fangirl chasing after Sasuke. Sitting next to her was the class banshee, Sakura Haruno. She wore a red dress with blue sandals. She had pink hair and green eyes, and also like the majority of the girls in the class, she too was a fangirl chasing Sasuke. Next there was Hinata Hyuga. She had changed a lot in the last 7 years. She had grown to be around 5 feet 3 inches. Her hair had grown and no reaches mid-back. She wears a baggy beige jacket that hides her mid-C cup breasts and long blue pants. The rest of the kids in the class were just no-name civilians that Iruka really didn't bother remembering the names of cause they probably wouldn't appear again after this chapter. Where did that come from? He thought before shaking his head. He then clears his throat trying to get the class's attention. No effect, so he tries a few more times before a tick mark appears on his forehead. Okay, shut up and pay attention. He yells instantly. The class does so, causing him to smile. Okay, now today is the day of the graduation exam that will determine if you become shinobi or not. He begins before the one of the windows in the classroom break and a black ball flies through before attaching itself to the blackboard. The ball pops open revealing a banner that says, "The sexiest man alive." Naruto Uzumaki is here, and standing next to it is a 5 feet 8 inches tall 13-year-old with sun-blonde hair, blue eyes and 3 whisker-like marks on each cheek. Stands on the roof of a building next to the Ninja Academy. He is wearing black steel-toe combat boots, dark red cargo pants, a fishnet shirt that shows of his six-pack abs and chest, a long red trench coat with red flames on the bottom that goes down to his ankles. On the back of the trench coat near the top are the words, Saurian Soul, in gold lettering. And underneath it there is some kind of creature's skull, Jurassic Park logo asterisk. On his right arm there is a tattoo of a crimson nine-tailed fox. On his chest above his right pec there is a tattoo of a purple snake coiled around a heart. On his left pec there is a tattoo of the moon with lavender hints in it above a heart, and he is wearing black sunglasses. He turns to Iruka and raises his hand. Yo, am I late? Iruka just stands there for a second before clearing his throat. Who are and why are you my class? Naruto just tilts his head to the side and looks at Iruka. Well, in order, my name is Naruto Uzumaki, hence the reason I came out of and am standing next to that ball next to me that has the banner saying, "The sexiest man alive." Naruto Uzumaki is here. Cue sweat drop from most of the class. And as to what I am doing here, this is my class and I'm here to take the graduation exam. I have a note from the Hokage. And hands Iruka the note, causing his eyes to widen before rubbing the bridge of his nose and muttering, "I need a drink." He then notices Naruto holding a flask out to him. "Here's some of my special stash, it helps with the stress." Iruka grabs the flask and takes a gulp before handing it back to Naruto. "Thanks, I needed that. Okay, now class, we have a new student joining us today. Meet Naruto Uzumaki." Naruto raises his hand. "Yo, nice to meet you." Suddenly there was a yell of, "Iruka-sensei, why does this nobody get to just join at the end of the year when we're graduating? Only someone as awesome as Sasuke-kun should be able to do that. I just died a little writing that," was the yell of the class banshee, Sakura. Yeah, Sakura. After recovering and stopping his ears from bleeding, Iruka looks at Sakura before saying, "First, Sakura, he has a note signed by the Hokage himself saying he can. And secondly, if you ever yell like that again, I will have you clean the Akamichi sewer system until it sparkles with your toothbrush." Which caused many of the class to go green in the face, but none more so than Sakura. After composing himself, he turns to Naruto and says, "Okay Naruto, how about you tell us a little about yourself?" Naruto smiles before nodding. "Okay Iruka-sensei. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, the sexiest man alive. Q sweat drop from Iruka*. My likes are training, ramen, foxes, snakes and reptiles in general, the moon, my hubby Heim, my lavender moon Heim, music, singing and playing my guitar, cooking. My dislikes are traitors, rapists, perverts, the time it takes to cook ramen, and people who can't tell the difference between a kunai and the scroll it's sealed in. My dream for the future is to get stronger to protect my precious people, bring peace to the elemental nations, become Hokage, and have a family." He finishes with smile. Iruka and the class sit there speechless for a bit before there is a loud squeal and a midnight blue-haired blur rockets into Naruto, who just catches it and twirls around before stopping. He looks at the person in his arms and smiles. "Hello Hinata-chan, did you miss me?" Her answer was to put her arms around his neck and kiss him on the lips passionately as he wraps his arms around her waist. This causes various reactions among the class. Jiraiya has his jaw on the ground and a little blood dripping down his nose, and the rest of the class has their jaws on the floor. After ending the kiss, Naruto looks Hinata in the eyes and smiles. "I'll take that as a yes," she responds by tapping him on the chest lightly. Naruto looks at the class. "What, haven't you ever seen someone kiss their fiancé before?" This causes everyone's jaws to go deeper into the floor and more blood to leak from Iruka's nose. After a few minutes everyone recovers and Iruka clears his throat. "Okay Naruto, Hinata, if you will take your seats we will start the written exam." Naruto and Hinata nod before giving each other a quick kiss on the lips and going to their seats. Iruka then has Mizuki pass out the tests, who then proceeds to give everyone a test before coming to Naruto and gives him his while before turning around and smiling to himself while he thinks, "Let's see the demon brat pass that." Naruto looks at the test and notices that they are at least Junin level questions, realizing that it's under a genjutsu before thinking. "So he is one of the people who hates me for holding Akane-chan. Well, let's just fix this, shall we? Akane-chan. You got that right Naruto-kun. Let's show then what happens when they mess with my little brother." Akane speaks through the mental link they set up a few years back. Naruto then dispels the genjutsu and answers the questions, getting them all right, and then waits for everyone else to finish. 30 minutes later, Iruka looks at the clock before turning to the class. "All right, that's time. Pencils down and bring your tests to me before heading outside to the training field." Everyone gets up and heads outside. Everyone stands outside at the throwing range as Iruka and Mizuki walk up. "Okay, now we will test your shuriken jutsu. When I call your name, come up and pick up 10 shuriken and 10 kunai and throw them at the training dummies." He then proceeds to call people one by one. Choji gets a 7/10 for both shuriken and kunai. Shikamaru gets a 6/10 for shuriken and kunai, barely trying while trying enough so he passes. Shino gets a 7/10 for shuriken and 8/10 for kunai. Kiba gets a 7/10 for both shuriken and kunai. Both Ino and Sakura get 6/10 for both shuriken and kunai. Hinata gets a 8/10 for both kunai and shuriken. Sasuke gets a 8/10 for shuriken and a 9/10 for kunai, causing his fangirls to scream about how he is the best. He walks from the throwing spot and gives Naruto a look that says, "Beat that doby." Naruto just ignores him. Iruka then calls Naruto's name. Naruto walks up to the line and picks up the kunai and shuriken. Iruka looks at him and says, "Whenever you're ready Naruto." Naruto nods and gets into a throwing stance before throwing all 10 kunai at once, followed by all 10 shuriken. After he is done, most of the class laughs, thinking he missed, and Sakura yells, "The baka can't even hit the target." Everyone then looks to Iruka, who has his eyes wide and his jaw wide open before turning to Naruto. "Great job Naruto, perfect score and bonus points for hitting other vital points." This shuts everyone up and Sakura yells, "What are you taking about, sensei? He missed everyone." Iruka then turns to Sakura. "No Sakura, he not only hit everyone, he placed them in places that are all fatal, ranging from the throat, lungs, kidneys, liver, and finally the eyes." This shuts her up while everyone just looks on with wide eyes, and Sasuke grits his teeth due to the doby getting a higher score. Iruka then says, "Okay, next up is taijutsu. First up is Shino Aburame vs. Random Civilian 1. Iruka starts the match and within a few minutes the winner is Shino. Next is Choji vs Shikamaru. Shikamaru forfeits, stating it's too troublesome. Then Ino vs Sakura, which ends in a draw. Next is Kiba vs Random Civilian 2 and Kiba wins fairly quickly. Hinata wins against Random Civilian 3. Finally Iruka calls, Sasuke Uchiha vs Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto steps into the ring and gets into a stance as Sasuke walks into the ring. You should give up now Dobi, there is no way you can beat me and Uchiha, we are the elite of this village, no one is better than us, as he gets into the Uchiha Interceptor fist style.